All right, everyone, welcome back to the Energy Economics Podcast. I am so excited to have a mentor of mine, a friend, and somebody I really look up to, Jenna Larson, here on the show. Hey, Jenna, how are you?
Oh, I'm good. How are you?
I'm fantastic. I just got back from the gym today, and I haven't actually worked out in a long time, so I feel great.
It makes a
Um,
big difference, as we were just talking about before we got on air, that I am not working out currently. But
that
you're
is
motivating me.
true.
I need to get back to it.
It's right next to you. You could do it now.
Yes, it is right here.
So, could you tell us a little bit about you and your background with neurodiversity and how that shows up in your life?
Yeah, absolutely. So, to be honest, I don't even think I recognized that I was neurodivergent for a long time. It's one of those things where, especially with women, you typically figure it out when you're in the doctor's office with your young sons getting diagnosed. So, I don't know that I've ever been officially told by a doctor, although it's funny because as I'm in, groups of people and I'm talking, if I make a comment of like, oh, that's my neurodivergence or that's my ADD or whatever, people are like, uh-huh, it sure is, right? And so it's always so funny because it's like people who know are like, oh, Jenna, yes, like it's very clear. Where to me, my entire life, there was no talk of it. There was no even thoughts of like, oh, could this be a thing? So my journey has really been in the last few years as I've kind of been supporting my two children, and just kind of learning through them about how to, create a lifestyle and systems and processes that really help them thrive. And just as I've been kind of, diving into this research and experience and all the things, I'm like, oh, yes, that is me. Oh, that is me. Oh, that is me. So that's kind of the thing, right? I do research for my kiddos and then I'm like, oh, Jenna, yes, you are it.
So how does that show up when you say you are it? What do you really mean?
Yeah. I mean, for me, I think that like if I could describe like who I am neurodivergently, if that's even a word, I think that there are things in life that I'm really a genius at, right? Like maybe more so than the average person, but then there are things that neurotypical people do that just is easy, but like for me it's not normal. Do you know what I mean? Like I can't do a lot of like normal people things, like
Yeah, like what?
everyday activities, but I can do really hard weird things, right? I would say that I'm quite scattered.
Mm,
I rely on systems for everything in my life. But I will say, like, for sure, I think the reason why it wasn't ever addressed in my life or even brought up is because I've always been very successful. And when I look back now, I realize that the reason I am is because of it. And what I mean by that is, the way that a lot of my stuff shows up is through anxiety. I
mm.
am a 0 to 100 person. The second
I've
someone
seen
tells
it.
me something, I mean, like I was in the hospital the other day and the doctor or the nurse came in and was like, oh, they found something. And I had the little heart rate monitor on and it went crazy. And my husband was like, Jenna, calm down. They didn't even say anything bad. But like I am 0 to 100 with everything in my life, right? There is no in between on anything. But I think the beautiful thing is, and we'll see if this hurts me in the long run, but I really use that as fuel to get things done, right? So my entire goal in, fight or flight is get out of here, get out of a place of anxiety. And so that's what motivates me to get things done and to take
Mm.
action, and then to be successful. So it presents an anxiety, but again, I'm thankful for it because it really is the fuel that I think gets me to do the things that are bringing the success.
Totally. Thank you so much. What do you think are the common misconceptions from the outside or like judgments against those who have some sense of neurodiversity? I mean, you got two kiddos, right? We
Mhm.
skipped over this completely. How old are your kids?
Yeah. So I have a 13-year-old and a 10-year-old.
Yeah. And does it show up similarly for them, neurodiversity?
In terms of anxiety, yes. I have one that is more on the ADHD and then one that is on the dyslexia.
Mm.
and like sensory and stuff like that. So it's a little bit different for them. And that's, then been very interesting because my first exposure to it was kiddo 1 and learning how to support him. And then kiddo 2 was complete opposite, right? So I thought, oh, I know how to do this. We got it. We're good. And then the experience was so different. So I think that's, something it's, when we talk about the spectrum, I think we're all on it. Truly, I think we are all on the spectrum, but I think it's like a very large one. And I think everybody is so different, so unique in the way that they present, in the way that they operate, and of course environmental. But look, I have 2 kiddos that grew up in the same environment, completely different experiences, and the way they show up with their neurodiversity is completely different from even me, right?
Yeah.
So I really do believe it is like in the brain, in the gut, all the things, right?
Right.
But yeah, I think very, very different for each of us. But anxiety, I think, is a common denominator.
Common theme. So how do other people who don't have as acute of spectrum like symptoms? When you say we, you mean every human or every
Yeah,
neurodiverse
I
person?
think every human, literally.
Okay.
That
All
is
right.
my
So
perspective. I think I mean, of course, I do think there is neurotypical and
right.
neurodiverse, right? So I'm not saying that everybody is necessarily, but I think there's a little bit of it in all of us. I think it's just,
Yeah.
how does it look? How does it feel? And, frankly, I think, oh, I believe 100% that people who are neurodiverse are some of the coolest people I've ever met. I think often misunderstood. But
Right.
I think these are the humans. Like, there's times where, especially with boys, right, it can be challenging as a mother to raise neurodiverse kids because, some things that feel very obvious are not obvious to them, right? And it's a challenge. And, there's times where I'm just like, oh my goodness, right? But my husband and I have made such a like distinct conversation and decision to say the most important thing as we're raising them is to not take away their spirit and who they are at
Mm.
their core. And it may be a little bit different, but that's what's so beautiful about them, right? Like I never want to take it away. Like I remember one day we were at the mountains with one of my kiddos and he wanted to go up to the top of the mountain in the snow. And we were like, no, it's not safe. And it was like, he was so frustrated that we wouldn't let him do it. And we looked at each other and I was like, man, if we took the chains off of that kid, right? Like metaphorical chains, obviously, and we just
Yeah.
said, fine, do whatever you got to do. There is no doubt in my mind he would have made it to the top of the hill because he would have figured out some crazy way that we couldn't even see to get there because he's that relentless and that motivated to make it happen. And, my husband and I looked at each other and we're like, he will be a leader. He will be a CEO. He will be that person that is like, once the chains are off, he's going to flourish and just run the world because no is not an option that you can just tell him, right? It's like, no, because he sees 50 different ways to get there that we could never even imagine, right? And I think
Yeah.
that's the most beautiful part about being neurodiverse. I had the same experience with my other kiddo doing a math problem. And we're like, you have to do it this way. And he was like, but what if you did it? And he did this crazy thing. And the teacher was like, I don't even know how you got there, but you got there. Like, that is not even a thing we do in math, right? But he got there, right? And so I think that's the hard part with society, right? Is, we want to put them in a box, we want to put them in school, we want to put them in very standardized things, and they don't necessarily fit into that. And so
Yeah.
then they get shamed and I mean, all the things that these poor kiddos mentally health have to deal with. I mean, I could
I
go
mean, you
on.
you experienced that too, I imagine.
Oh yes, oh yes, it's rough. Just being neurodiverse, whether you're treated bad or not. My kids were treated beautifully, but just being in an environment that is built for other people makes you feel stupid, right? It's like, why can't I do what everybody else can do, right? So it's
Yeah.
not that the system is trying to harm these kiddos, it's just it is
Yeah, right.
because it's not built for them.
It's like passive harm.
Yeah. There's this beautiful story where there's this girl and she was in school and she would get in trouble because she was dancing on the tables all the time, dancing on the chairs, dancing all around, like all the whole time, right? So they kicked the girl out of school and this girl went on to be the choreographer for Cats, right? And it always gives me chills because I'm like, man, if we put these people in a place where they can be themselves and flourish, they will do unbelievable things, right? I think it is
Yeah.
one of the biggest harming things in our society right now is to be putting these kids in a box because, these are the people that are going to rule the world, in my opinion, because they have the most innovative, beautiful ideas. And I think the thing that we all learn, and it's what I was talking about earlier with like fighting my anxiety, is we learn the pathways to
Mm.
cope, right? Our coping skills are beyond anything because we have to all the time
And
adapt.
I mean, you've had to learn the pathways to cope, right? And you're trying to teach your kids these things, but as far as I know, there's not an institution that teaches these things.
Well, there
And
are, I mean, interestingly, I mean, there are schools for neurodiverse people, which, frankly, are beyond expensive, but worth
mm,
every single penny. I mean, it's wild. There are they're very few and far between, and, most people cannot, unfortunately, afford to go there. But once you put your kid in that situation, let me tell you, it is amazing what you will see. They
so
become who
as a parent, yeah, they become empowered and they have those chains off. So as a parent, we're both big thinkers. It's really easy for both of us to get into the conversation of the general.
yeah.
As a parent, what do you do at home to really nurture that for your kids?
No, it's a struggle. I mean, right? Because I and my husband, we very much falter between like, well, we have to do the regular things versus, you know, changing what success looks like, I think is probably the biggest thing, right? As I talk to a lot of parents with neurodiverse kids, right? It's like, why can't my kid do this? Or why don't they do this? Everybody else does, right? And I think there is a very strange thing of like, yeah, almost have to like mourn what you thought so that you can make
Mm,
room for what the beautiful thing is that you didn't realize you could have, right? But like when we become parents, we think, oh, this is what it's going to look like. And then you are surprised by these beautiful thinkers, but you don't understand it, right? And even myself and my husband are both neurodiverse. You would think we would get it, right? And it took us a while to get there. But what we just constantly have to do is redefine what success looks like and say, like, okay, well, his version of doing this activity is just going to look a little bit different. I'll give an example. It was really hard for one of my kiddos to get ready in the morning and get out the door every day for school on time. And we would argue, and it was just like this big thing every morning of just like, right? And so we would micromanage and like, our shoes on, like just so hard on him to get out the door. And it really was just not a place where it was good, a good environment. And one day we said, what if we just stop being his frontal lobe and we let him do what he wants to do, you
yeah,
know? And so we're like, hey, dude, as long as you're in the car, I don't care what it looks like to get ready in the morning,
yeah.
right? You
Just
do
make
you.
sure you have what you need.
You do you. And
Okay.
so he would get
Yeah.
up and go play basketball for 30 minutes in the backyard. And then what do you know? That kid was out the door on time. And we were like, are you joking? Really? Right? And so again, it's just changing your version of what you think it should look like. And really, strangely, as a parent, putting yourself in a position to let the kid lead a little bit, right? We still have to be the authority.
Mm,
We still have to be the person that is teaching. But I will tell you, I have learned a lot from my kiddos. That is probably one of the most biggest like blessings from having a neurodiverse family is like there's so many different ways to do things and it doesn't have to be your way, right? And the way
yeah.
that they present is probably better than what you wanted, right? Like, do I love that my kid gets exercise before school in the morning? Is it probably unbelievably good for him to go do that for the rest of the school day? Absolutely. But if it was up to me, would I be like, no, you can't go horse around, right? So he has taught me this beautiful lesson of like, no, this is what my body needs, and this is how I'm going to be successful, and here's how I get motivated to get out the door. Cool, you know?
Mm,
But as a
hmm.
parent, especially with PDA, as we've discussed, I want it to be my way, right?
Yeah. So what does it mean if it's not your way?
That's hard, really hard, right? But that's where we just constantly remind ourselves it doesn't have to be. there are better ways. And I think that's the beautiful thing in the lesson in all of this, is that the way of society isn't always right. And I think it's probably time that we change a little bit and let some of these neurodivergent thinkers redefine what things look like. Because I will tell you, like, even the things that they teach at these schools that are built for neurodivergent kiddos, every day I'm at one of these schools, I'm like, why isn't everybody like this? Why don't we run our schools like this? If we did this here, I just feel like the whole world would be better.
Yeah, I completely agree. And it sounds like you're doing stuff at home,
Mhm.
which is really helping your kids.
I hope so. I mean, I am the girl that's like watching every podcast, reading every book, doing everything, you know.
Running every business. Yeah.
Oh yeah, my kids are the most important thing in my life, right? So I will do anything to support them. You know, not to say it's all perfect, because it's not, and I'm not perfect. But my job is to give them the best opportunity at success and happiness. I don't even care about, like, I don't care about grades. I don't care about, you know, the things. I care about their soul and their happiness and their joy and their confidence. And if I can do anything, I will do everything. Like, I will
Yeah,
do everything.
absolutely. You say this word success a lot, and you mentioned even redefining what success looks like. You mentioned at the beginning, you've always been successful. So what does success look like for you?
Yeah, I mean, gosh, it's in different contexts for sure. I mean, in terms of business, right? Running a profitable business with a team and service and, you know, supporting my clients at the level that I would want to, that to me is success, right? Parenting success means that I have kids that are able to adapt and thrive and, more than anything, be joyful. Um, but I think, you know, it's all relevant to the situation, certainly. But I think when we talk about like neurodiversity, I think society says success is this. You go to school, you have good grades, you're on the sports team, you have a million friends, you know, fit the mold of everything. You go to college, you do the things, right? I
Hmm.
think that is typically what we measure against. And that is not what we're going to measure against in my family, because we've redefined it, right? It is
Yeah,
now, I'm happy, I'm joyful, I feel confident in who I am, I'm able to advocate when I need help. You know, like, I'm able to
hmm,
articulate where maybe I'm a little bit different and I need something different. Um, it is not, it's just not the typical what you think, right? And that's kind of what I was
yeah,
saying at the beginning, where it's like, you know, you kind of had to like mourn what you thought a little bit, like, oh, I thought this is just
yeah,
what it was going to be. You redefine and they're like, no, it doesn't actually mean that anymore. And that doesn't have to be what we do. And, you know, again, it's like everything, right? When you open up yourself to be like, well, it doesn't have to be this way, and the kids could really kind of show you what it should be, it's almost always more beautiful on the other end.
absolutely. So what advice can you give parents who haven't started this mourning process or who haven't begun that transition and definitely, they want their kids to be successful. Their kids are the most important thing in the world to them. They want to have that experience where they see their kids thrive and they have uh, an expectation or they have other things. So how would you support or advise parents to start to make that transition?
Yeah, I mean, I think knowledge is power. Obviously, talking to other people who have, you know, opened up to the idea that there's something more beautiful in store if you let go. But I think it's all a lesson in letting go and being humble, right? We think we're smart. We think we know the right way. We think we know how to parent. We think everything we do is the right way, right? And even
Mm,
society in general, right? Like, we think that is what it should be. And I think the more you start to talk to people who have been like, you know, it actually doesn't need to be like that. There is so much beauty in options, right? But I think, and especially for me, someone who is OCD, which is also avoiding the anxiety, right? Like, that is a
yeah.
coping mechanism for me. I feel like I have to be in control of everything. It has to be exactly right, blah, 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 right? And so I think the ultimate lesson for me is letting go. And, you know, it doesn't need to be the way I think that they need to show up to school, right? Um, And so I don't even know how you get there. Like for me, it's God, right? Like I
Oh
know
yeah.
that I am not the ultimate person. I feel like I just consult him all the time. Like, how do I handle this? What do you want me to do? Where do you want me to go? But whether it's God or whatever, it is all a lesson in saying you don't actually know. You're human. You are not the end all be all. You don't actually know everything. And so I think it is a lesson in humbling yourself to be like, someone else might know more than you. And guess what? It might be your kids. And
Yeah.
most of the time it is. You know what I mean? And so I think that's the journey that you have to go down, is that what you think is right is not. And you have to just open to yourself to be like, there are other options. Someone might know better than you. And like once you can let go, I think your life is a lot happier.
Yeah. Self-awareness seems to be a really important theme that you have a lot of it. And
Mhm.
um, it's one of those things that when you don't have a lot of it, you don't know that you don't have a lot of it, right?
Yeah,
So how did
yeah,
you create that self-awareness?
yeah. I don't know where I got that, but it is a thing I've heard a lot in therapy. People are therapists are always like, wow, Jenna, you really intellectually understand this, right? But there's a difference between intellectually understanding and
Yeah.
acting and behaving and feeling, right? I struggle every day. I might be able to come up here and be like, oh, that's what you do. It doesn't mean it doesn't affect me every single decision or every single moment I have that's a struggle with, with the kiddos or myself, or like the fact that like, I have a sock on the floor that I look at every day that haunts me every day, but I just can't pick it up.
You know, you put googly eyes on it.
Googly eyes on it.
I mean,
Like
it'll
so
haunt you,
it's
but
like
it'll
a
be funny.
picture. So
It
then I
could
just
be.
leave it forever.
You could. And if it moves, then it laughs at you while it moves. Yeah.
See, options, right? I mean, I don't have to pick it up. But that's the thing, right? So it's like, I think you can be self-aware, but you still struggle, right? It doesn't make you perfect. But it's like a daily conversation. Like, is it okay?
Yeah.
Yeah, it is okay.
Yeah. And there's more to it, I think. There's you're self-aware to a degree where you were just describing your OCD and how your OCD shows up. You were saying it's a coping mechanism. You have to be in control. You have to be right. And just in what I've seen in your own organization, there has to be a degree of self-awareness to navigate the way that you do. And I can imagine I make up these scenarios where Jenna is losing her shit and she says, "Okay, Nate, you deal with this," because I recognize that I'm not. I recognize that
100%.
I'm getting triggered here.
Yes.
Speaking
So
from personal experience,
100%.
yeah, I know.
Yeah, we own a software company. We're rebuilding it right now. It's a very stressful time. We've invested, almost $500,000 into this. I mean, we're stressed, right?
Yeah,
My
sure.
business partner came up against something that he thought was going to derail the entire thing, like year and a half, all this stuff, right?
And that's why it got pushed back a month. Are we talking about the same
It
thing?
is. But here's the
Yeah.
thing. He didn't tell me until he had a solution. He panicked. Everything was like on his shoulders, freaking out. Absolutely. He knew Jenna goes 100 miles an hour. She will go 0 to 100. She will panic. It will not be good. And so he, thank goodness, as a partner, right, as a business partner, he knows who I am because I'm very articulate about like, look, I don't do well with these things. And so he handled the entire situation. And then he said, hey, Jenna, I need to talk to you. Even saying that to me panicked
Would
me. I
have.
was like, oh my
Uh-huh.
God, oh my God.
I saw it. I just, yeah. Hmm.
I was like, oh my God, why? And literally all he said was, I need to talk to you. Can you get on Zoom? I just in that went 100 miles an hour. It's like, oh my God, something's wrong. And thank God we got on the call and he goes, everything's fine, but here's what happened. And like when school calls, I mean, I very much have like a trigger with phone calls because that's how I learned that my mom had cancer. And so phone
Oh
calls,
man.
my stomach
Oh.
drops if it's the school, immediate like 0 to
Hmm.
100, right?
Yeah.
And so thank God where my kid goes to school, they say everything's fine, but I need to tell you this, right? And so, I think there are a lot of people, thank God, in my life that just know I struggle, right? If my mom says, hey, can you call me? She knows I'm going to go into a spiral, right? So anyways, there are a lot of people, thank goodness, who know. But
Well,
here's the thing.
let's not downplay that because what you're really talking about, like what you're really talking about is that you've intentionally built a group of people that even though you have your triggers, even though you have your blind spots, you still trust the people enough to buffer
Yeah.
your stuff.
Yeah.
Um, how did you do that?
I don't know. And I will tell you, right, like you keep talking about how self-aware I am. I don't think I was until I learned through my children, right? I think I just was who I was for a long time. I think just in the past 10 years, as I've been learning about neurodivergence and like what it looks like and how it shows up, now I feel like I'm able to be like, oh, that explains everything, right? And that's why I say, like, I've never been, diagnosed. I've diagnosed myself. You've diagnosed me. Everyone who knows me is like, yeah, Jenna, uh-huh. But before it was just, that's just Jenna. It was just, that's her personality, right? There was no, she's neurodivergent, right? Like, I don't even know what I have. Who knows, right? But like, it doesn't even matter. I'm something on a spectrum, right?
You're something.
Um,
You're a unique human being with something that
yeah,
is shared with among other unique human beings.
exactly.
Mhm.
So I don't think I knew to do these things until the last, 10 or so, maybe a little bit longer. I think what really triggered a lot of it for me was when my mom got cancer. So like that
Mhm.
very much put me into an OCD type of thing. Um, but so I think just in the growth, in the therapy, in the understanding, in the learning with that, that I've done with my kiddos, now I'm like, oh, that's that. Oh, that's that. Oh my gosh, that's that, right? But most of the time I'm Googling something to understand so I can be a better parent. And then I'm like, oh, shizzle, I am that girl, you know? So
I can
I
see
think the
that.
more I learn, the more I'm able to then, like I've sent screenshots of
Wait,
PDA,
well, hang on. Did you say the more you mourn?
the more I learn.
Oh, okay. I was gonna
Yeah.
say, wait a minute. Let's back up.
No, no, the more I learn, I mean, like I was researching PDA the other day and I was like, oh my God. So then
Oh, we talked about that a few months ago. Yeah.
yeah, I
Yeah.
screenshotted it. I sent it to my husband. I was like, this explains everything. Screenshotted it, sent it to my friend Tasha. She was like, oh my God, this is you. Sent it to you. I sent it to my team and they were like,
Mhm.
oh my gosh. Because it's like a joke that we won't do anything until it's my idea. And so it's
Mhm.
like, how long do we have to make it? How long does this going to take for it to be Jenna's idea?
Working with Jenna is a lesson in sales, people.
It is,
It's
right? 100%, right? But like, so the more I learn, the more I can say, this explains me. And I think one of the best things I've ever heard about neurodivergence is it's not an excuse, it's an explanation. And I
yeah.
love that so much. So for me, all the learning that I've done is just an explanation that I can then share with other people around me to be like, here's how I operate, just so you know. And I think that really helps because then, people are beautiful humans and they want to support you and show up the way that they need to for you. I just
Yeah.
think most people don't know better.
Yeah. So we're gonna go a little deeper here. You just said something important I use as a transition. Do you think anybody really wants to have conflict?
I don't know. I mean, I'm pretty feisty, so I'm sure certainly not going to shy away from it.
You see that? That's the self-awareness. That's what I'm
I
talking about. You're like,
know.
maybe I do, maybe it's me.
I know. I certainly would rather not like have everything easy, but if you come for me, I'm gonna defend myself and I'm gonna show up and I'm gonna say it.
Yeah,
Um,
that's not wanting the conflict though. That's the
no,
problem.
I don't think I want conflict. And I don't think anybody does, but here's the thing, right? And this is something that I think about a lot with my kids, right? Because I do so much work, because I'm trying to build this beautiful life for them, because I'm so aware of the like challenges of neurodiverse, I have to be careful that I don't remove all conflict and adversity from their life because here's the truth. They're going to fail. They're going to have issues. They're going to have things. And so one of the things that Chris and I talk about a lot is letting them fail now when
Just to
it's
be
a
clear, your
small.
husband, not me.
Yes. Oh, yes. Yes.
Just to be
Chris,
clear, for
Chris
people watching, yes.
husband. Yes. Thank you. So we talk about like, this is a moment, and I will say to my kids, right? Like, I will let you fail, right? And then they're like, what? It's like
Yeah.
getting my kid into the car, a basketball. He sometimes struggles to be on time. And as a parent, I'm like, why am I having to get upset with you to drive you somewhere and pay for it and do it for you? Why am I trying to get you there? Um, But then I have to remember this isn't that. It is a transition thing that's hard for him, but like it feels very like, you don't appreciate me, blah, 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 right?
Like an
And so
attack. It's like you feel attacked.
yeah. And so I have to remove myself and be like, it's not about you, Jenna. He is struggling with a transition. But so I'll say, hey, guy, I'm going to sit right here. You tell me when you want to get in the car. If you're on time, cool. If you're not, I will let you be late. And they're like,
Yeah.
what? I'm like, yes, I will let you be late. If you want to fail in this moment to be on time, that's okay. Right? You'll have a
Yeah.
consequence from coach. You decide if you want that or not. Right?
Yeah, exactly. You don't need to pile it on.
No. And it completely changes. Then he's like, let's go, let's go, let's go. And I'm like, there we go. Right? And it's giving that power back to them. I don't need to micromanage you. I don't need to be your frontal lobe. You get to fail if you want. Right?
Yeah.
Guess what? My kid has never been late for school, ever.
I bet. I bet. Right.
And then there's no more conflict.
Well,
But
there
if I'm
isn't
like, let's go, why are you doing this? Blah, blah, blah,
exactly.
then there's conflict.
Right. So you said you don't want to remove all of the conflict. So what's healthy conflict look like?
I mean, I just think it's adversity, right? I think it's having challenges and dealing with any situation. It's not even conflict with humans, right? I think it's conflict with the moment or you're against yourself to get, pick the damn
Yeah, like
sock
you just
up.
said, you sometimes feel attacked or there's a sock on your floor,
Yeah, it's like I'm mad at that sock. Chris, I think I've said this to you before.
that you're mad at the
I,
sock. You have said that.
well, my PDA, right, which is like, I know there's some different words for it, for in case anybody doesn't know, right? It's like
Persistent
pathological.
that or persistent or pathological demand avoidance.
Yeah. So like if I have a demand on me, I don't want to do it unless it's my idea. To the point where I am mad at my alarm clock for waking me up.
You have told me this, yeah.
I set the alarm. Like that's how ridiculous this is, right? But it's true, right? It needs to be on my terms. It needs to be something I've decided. And so you also have to remember your kids probably have that too. So then it's like we're, going against it. It needs to be his idea. It needs to be my idea. It's like a disaster, right? So again, it all comes back to like letting go of certain things, which is really hard. But those are the conflicts, right? So it's like conflict against the alarm, conflict against my sock, conflict about, you know what I mean? It's like most of the time it's in your own head, right? That we have to deal
Absolutely.
with conflicts.
How much does that conflict cost you?
I don't know. I mean, in terms of like annoyance and frustration and like that, probably a lot, right? In terms of like, I'm a very emotionally energized person, so that's exhausting. But again, I think I'm a very lucky person. And I don't know that I mean, I would love to get rid of the anxiety if I could choose one thing to get rid of, but I also worry sometimes what would I look like without it? Would I be lazy? Would I be unmotivated? Would I not do well in my life and in my my business and such? So I always look at it more as like a bonus than a cost. But I think it's because I've learned how to maximize it. But I mean, there's
Yeah.
things
But you're
like
still
for
mad at
sure.
your alarm clock and you're still mad at the
Oh
sock.
yeah, no,
You're
totally mad
still,
about it. Yeah.
yeah.
So I don't know that you could convince me it's not a bonus, but it's a cost because it's like that's just the cost of admission.
It's a double-edged sword. So
Yeah.
then the question is, can we have it both ways?
Yeah. And so
It's
far I feel like I am, but I wonder, is it gonna burn out my adrenals? Is it going to, and I do know, and I've been to functional medicine doctors and such, because I am in fight or flight always,
yeah,
always. It's
right.
not
And we've
healthy.
talked a bit about that, and the cost of being in fight or flight is pretty high. And
It is.
so do you believe that there's a way to have it both ways, or do you still see that you either need to get rid of the anxiety in order to not have the conflict, or that you can have the anxiety but also have the conflict
I don't know.
without the conflict being so gripping?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's something that I've worked on for years in therapy. They're like, what if you could still do well without all that crap,
Yeah, that's a surface level question. I mean, like,
Um,
what if you could, and then you need to believe that it's actually like
right.
a thing you can do. And so that's a transition, sort of a setup question I just asked you because I have some beliefs around what's available for us as neurodivergent people, but I want to ask you, like, what resources do you think parents need in order to have less conflict and really provide better for their children?
Well, here's the sad story. Money,
Mm.
which makes me very angry. It makes me actually want to cry.
You can cry. It's okay.
You have to have the means to get the support. And I think that is a really sad thing. And I just know, I've said to my mom and to my husband, like, the day I sell my company and move on, I'm going to turn into an advocate for neurodiverse kids, probably dyslexics specifically. Because here's the truth with our school system, you get left behind, you get screwed. The mental health, I mean, all the things that come with it are just
Yeah.
atrocious. And the only way you can get out of it is if you can afford to put your kiddo in a school that specializes in it, or you have the means to hire a lawyer to get it funded for you to go somewhere. These schools, which are worth every dollar, are between 36,000 a year and 80,000 a year.
Mhm.
That is ridiculous. That is
It's
absolutely ridiculous.
it's a high barrier to entry for an incredibly high amount of the population. So what can
One
people
out of
do?
4 kids are dyslexic. One out of
Yeah.
4.
And 80%. So here's, I mean, like 80% of people are neurodivergent at this
Yeah,
point. And neurodivergence, when you're neurodivergent, you have twice the mental health issues and you're 80% more likely to commit suicide because of the conflict you're talking about. So
100%.
it's a very high liability
Yep,
with no um, support from the powers that be to make it
100%.
happen. So
And
what can people without a lot of money do?
I don't know. And that's what I am very angry about.
Yeah.
And that is why I feel like when I and my other business, I'm going to start fighting for it because thank God I'm able to provide for my kiddo to do what he needs to do. It's been life changing, like in a way that I couldn't even describe. Like I don't even have a word for the life changing that's happened for us. And it makes me sad that not every kid that struggles with this could have access to it, right? I
Right.
mean, schools are trying, but it's like 1 out of 4, guys, 1 out of 4. And then, ADHD and all those things, even more, right?
Yeah,
I
right.
wish that they would
Autism
just
is sure.
change the school system. I mean, it's broken,
Right.
right?
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
and there are other options, right? I mean, when we were looking for how to support our kids, right, it was, I mean, we went everywhere, we talked to everyone, but I will tell you the message I heard very loud and clear was do something now. Do whatever it takes to get your kid what he or she needs. I heard stories of suicide, drug addiction. It scared the
Yeah,
shit out of me, to be honest, right?
it's real.
Yeah. I mean, we drive our kiddo an hour a day to another school. We pay atrocious amounts of money. But it was a non-negotiable,
Why do
non-negotiable.
you why do you call it atrocious amounts of money? Is it because it's socially like my story I make up is because it's like social injustice to have to pay that much.
I think so. I mean, $36,000 a year for
Yeah,
elementary school, that's like going to a private law school,
yeah, yeah,
right? And here's the thing. I think it is the social injustice that it is because who has that? I don't even
exactly.
have that. But guess what? I'll wash dishes if that's what it takes. There
Yeah.
is nothing I will not do to make sure that my kid can go to a place like that.
Yeah,
But
and this gives a whole new dimension to you as a person. But
mm,
I we've talked business a lot, but to know that this is the direction that you're headed actually really inspires me because of all of this and what's happening on my end of the pond.
mhm.
Um, I want to bring it back as we kind of near edge toward the edge of the show here and edge toward the end. Those are the words I'm looking for, I promise. I want to bring it back to you and your kiddos. We could talk, a whole show could be social injustice, and it will be. That's going to be a theme that I'm going to release, but
Bring me back.
I will bring you back. But let's bring it back to you as a parent. If you could instill your child with 2 lessons about the way the world works, what would they be?
About the way the world works.
Yeah, how can they understand the world?
Oh gosh, I don't even know. That's a great question. I mean, I don't know if this answers it, but I know the big question or the big thing that my husband Chris and I talk about a lot is grit.
Mm,
And that's always like the big thing we always go back to. How do we instill grit? I think it's not a characteristic that everybody has. And especially with neurodiversity, everything is so freaking hard all the time. And if you don't have the resiliency to keep going, you just crumble and you isolate and it's a dark place to be, right? A lot of people with neurodiversity have resilience. I mean, like my other kid is like, I don't care, I'll climb to the top of the mountain, where the other one might be like, no, I'll sit here, I'm not even going to try, it's too hard,
yeah,
right?
right.
And so I guess to like attribute that to the way the world works is the world isn't set up for you. The world isn't going to be easy for you. And I think the question or the way that we want to kind of teach the kids is how do you find the right path that is for you? And again, it goes back to this idea that it doesn't always look the same as what everybody else is doing. And I think just teaching that your path is okay and it is just as good as the other path, if not better, let's be honest, right? Um, but that you have to understand that there are going to be moments where you need to maybe turn left when everyone else is turning right, and to be able to advocate and speak up and say, no, I'm going right because this is going to work better for me, right?
Yeah.
So I think like to bring it back to the lesson of the world, it's just that there's 5 million different paths. And I think that's the greatest lesson we've learned by putting our kiddo in a school that works for him. It's like, I mean, there is no word other than remarkable. And I don't even think that word works well enough to describe the life-giving changes for him. Um, but it is a perfect example of a different path working and giving life and breathing life into him.
Yeah. So grit,
Yes.
that's one. Is there a second?
Um,
I've been told I'm good at interviews. I'm sorry for the pain that you're
I
experiencing. You can look at
know.
the
I just
sock
don't
and
know.
imagine the googly eyes if it helps.
Grit and I mean, I mean, the only other word that comes to mind is resilience, but I feel like it's kind of the same thing, right? It's like
Hmm.
it's going to be freaking hard, and I think that's the hardest lesson for us to teach our kids because I'm trying to learn everything to set them up and set environments where they can thrive, but I sometimes worry like, am I removing all conflict so that they don't experience enough? You know what I mean? Because it's like we've gone through hell, so now I'm trying to make a heaven, but that hell is still reality of the world. And
Yeah.
so, I think it's important to learn that failure is part of succeeding, maybe. Um,
Yeah.
like
Okay.
you have to, right? Like,
Yeah.
so it's a balance between like setting them into environments where they're going to succeed and flourish and be happy and have all the things, but also remembering we still have to put them in positions where this isn't going to be comfortable. It's not going to be good, but you have to use what you've learned to adapt and move through it.
I do. Yeah. So on that same vein, if you were to leave your children with one practice, one practical thing that they could do, what would that be?
Try,
Cry?
try,
Oh, cry.
try.
Try with a T.
Yeah, I think that's hard for a lot of neurodivergent people, right? Like put yourself out there and try. I think that's
Mm.
one of my weird blind things. Like, how you just don't know what you don't know about yourself. And people ask me a lot, like, why do you think you should just build a SaaS company when you're a woman and it's a man's thing? And why do you think you should go sign up for a TED Talk and do it, right? Like, I do a lot of things that people are surprised, right? And they're always like, why do you have the confidence to do it? And I'm like, I don't think I see what a lot of maybe neurodivergent or neurotypical people are like, filter, worry, what will they think? And I'm like, who cares? Let's just try anyways, right? Like, I think that's a beautiful thing to just try. Who cares if you're told no? It's already a no, right?
Yeah.
And I think that's like a weird superpower that I have through the neurodivergence is I'll try anything. You know what I mean? Like I have this like, I don't even know if it's confidence, it's just I don't care, right? So I will put myself in positions without worry of failure because I'm like, failure is part of it, right?
Yeah.
And it's
Right.
already a
Like one of
failure
those
until I get
lessons.
the yes.
Exactly. And so this is a great example of how these beliefs and values that you hold translate into making it easier, right? Because it's a lot easier to try if you know failure is a part of success. There's no fear at that point, right? You don't have
We're
to care.
smart, Chris. Man, we should take this show on the road. Like, look at us.
Sure, let's do
We're
it.
smart.
How do you want to do that? Let's talk
Yeah.
about it. All right. So we're coming up at the top of the hour, half hour, 45, whatever we've been recording for. And I know you have to get to stuff. So how can people find you, Jenna, if they want to connect to you?
Yeah, probably on social media is the best place to find me. So my Instagram is the period Jenna period Larson. On that account, I share a lot about just, personal stuff, running a business, being a woman entrepreneur. I do share some neurodiverse stuff. So that's a great place to find me on Instagram, or if you are on Facebook, I am Jenna Dubois Larson, which is Dubois. And yeah, you can connect with me there as well.
Awesome. Well, Jenna, it's been a pleasure having you here. I really love this conversation. We're definitely going to bring you back for other segments of the show. And is there anything you want to leave the audience with before we end?
Yeah, I mean, I would just say if you are neurodivergent, I love you. Like, I think you're cool. And I think that the world needs more of us. And I think more of us to like stand up and just do the things and advocate for each other and, show people that this different way of living and showing up in our daily activities is actually really freaking cool. And I think the more people that become open to this, and learn to just like embrace, I think they're going to be in for a pretty cool treat because yeah, we have quirks and maybe sometimes it's weird, but like sometimes it's actually amazing.
Yeah.
So I will just say like the more people that I meet, I feel like there's so much depth, right? And I hope that people who are listening to this embrace who they are and who their kids are, because there's a lot of good stuff that can come from it.